Welkom allemaal bij deze speciale podcast van De Groene Amsterdammer. Wat is nu mooier dan theater, muziek, dans en opera in volle bezetting, in volle zalen, in een zomers Amsterdam? Oftewel, deze podcastserie maken we over het Holland Festival. In deze gesprekken blikken we vooruit op het programma en praten we met kenners, critici en makers zelf. Ik ben Thomas Heerma van Voss en vandaag ga ik in gesprek met twee mensen over twee verschillende voorstellingen, namelijk Forbidden Echoes en Told by My Mother. En dat gaan we doen in het Engels, dus ik schakel nu over. First, let me introduce the two guests of today. We have Nader Adabnejad. He's a composer, audio engineer, videographer from Iran. In his bio, he states that he believes that art is the only way the world might heal itself. He lives and is trained in Maastricht, and he has an impressive resume. And part of the program Forbidden Echoes is a new piece of work by Nader, wherefore he uses a lot of musical elements from Iran. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
And right next to you, Natasja van het Westende. She's the artistic and managing director of Dancing on the Edge, artistic platform and festival that moves between different borders and histories and is focused on the Middle East. Natasja is also director of Westende Art and works as art manager, programmer, curator, researcher. And during the Holland Festival, she gave a live introduction to Told by My Mother, a dance piece by Ali Charour. Welcome.
Thank you as well.
Nader, let me begin with you, if that's all right. The play Forbidden Echoes, it consists of 3 different pieces, all from Iranian creatives. Your new piece of work, one of the 3, is called Towards Affinity, will be world premiered during the Holland Festival, played by the Concertgebouw Orkest. And it's always difficult, of course, to talk about music instead of just listening to it. But let's give it a try, and let's start with the context of your new work. It's a piece that's deeply rooted in Iranian culture, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. It's super hard to talk about like music. You know, I always were thinking that, you know, art should speak by itself. So when you explain things about it, it's gonna somehow ruin it. But I kind of can say like my music in a way related to Persian music because I'm Persian. So I'm not trying to go through like traditional Persian music or traditional Persian music, but it's somehow living inside me. In any way I try to like write something, it's gonna sound a bit Persian. And for this one, I was also thinking the same. I was like, I don't want to go for writing Persian music. I just want to say things that I wanted to say always with my art. And I ended up having this piece. So it's going to sound a bit Persian, but in a way, it's also multicultural kind of, because I traveled here. I'm living another life right now here. I studied classical music. So it's a combination of everything for me. Contemporary music, traditional Persian music, maybe a bit of rock vibe, something like that. You can see the elements inside it if you like magnify materials inside the music. So
there's a lot to respond to, but let me talk about the Persian background, the Persian culture you just briefly mentioned. And what I'm intrigued by is that, well, you mentioned it by yourself. You're partly formed by this background. You're living in the Netherlands now. Are you constantly, while you're working here, aware of this Persian background and also the traditions you're part of?
Definitely. I'm like, it's part of me that you cannot somehow erase, you know, it's there. You cannot forget it. Although like, when you travel to another country, there are so many cultural shocks, and then you adapt to it, and it will change your vision and change your life. And also, I think there is something beautiful in it also. You will keep the beautiful things from your culture and adapt to beautiful things that exist in the new culture that you're living in. So, yes, I have everything with, like, most of the good things with me. In my opinion, I don't know if it's true. So you have to ask my friends. But yeah, I think I can't say that you can ever change that.
And when did you move to the Netherlands?
It's just 5 years.
When you look at the tradition and the history of Persia, it has a rich, very rich tradition of music, and also a lot of oppression from time to time. And after the Iranian Revolution in 1979, most musical performances were forbidden. And in current Iran, the music is controlled by a ministry. You have all those kind of things, but also a lot of beauty, of course, which is also becoming part, which will be part of your new composition. And I want to talk, before I go to you, Natasja, a little bit more about these musical elements. Zoom in at the music you're composing right now, because it will be an acoustic composition.
Yes.
You've used instruments. You will use instruments like strings, horn, percussion. Also called an instrument called the ney.
Yes. And like ney is a Persian instrument, woodwind Persian instrument. So I'm using also flute. And my basic idea was to have this conversation between flute, that is a Western woodwind instrument, and ney, that is a traditional Persian instrument. So it also feels the same for me that, we have these multicultural elements that sounds like each other with a bit of differences. So we can kind of reflect to it like, we are all humans with different characteristics, and we can speak to each other, and with different tones, with different characteristics. We just have to listen to each other.
Yeah, and could we listen to one of those?
Yeah. I can share some, play some excerpts of Persian instrumentalists, like some good players, like old traditional players, to just give you an idea how they sound.
Let's have a listen. So this instrument will be part of your composition, not this piece we just listened to?
No, not this piece, yeah. I just played this one to just give you the feeling that what is my solo woodwind instrument, how it's going to sound. Yeah. It's super windy, and also in Persian poetry, we have a lot of mentioning of this instrument that represents spirit, the soul also. I think it's a bit unique that they always refer to it as a music instrument, and also it connects to soul and spirit,
Yeah, it's a lovely sound. Thanks for introducing me to the ney. Natasja, let me go to you now. Like I mentioned in the introduction, you're managing director of Dancing on the Edge, and that platform and festival is specialized in creatives from the Middle East. And to begin with, could you tell me something about your role there and about the whole Dancing on the Edge?
Sure, yes. First of all, maybe we don't talk about Middle East anymore, but West Asia, North Africa, because Middle East is a Eurocentric colonial term, and West Asia is just more spot on just where it is, geographically speaking. Dancing on the Edge exists since 2007. I joined in 2008, and we started bringing amazing performances, mainly dance and theater, from the Middle East, West Asia, and North Africa, in the big theaters in the Netherlands, in several cities. But I think we have developed. We have been on a journey for the rest of the time, starting also co-producing, doing residencies, training, because of a lack of opportunity by a lot of the artists, also working, by the way, with artists from Iran. And we have been unpacking urgencies and also asking ourselves, what is it to be a festival, focusing mainly on one specific region, and then also trying to let go of that a little bit, because you cannot pinpoint it so directly to one region. People like Nader live in the Netherlands, in the diaspora, in Europe. There are different thematics that also overlap. So we also have been questioning, how do we relate? How is it also possible as artists to work within a Western frame? How can we question that? How also as audiences you enter, but also questioning systems, also how we deal with the planet. So we have been making the festival as one whole ritual, where actually also the boundaries between the different performances were not there. So it became one flow of being together, questioning how we can be in solidarity, how we can, by using art, question things, be together, all of that.
Yeah, big, really important, of course, topics, big questions as well. And if we zoom in on one of the artists that is breaking boundaries and applying to a lot of what you say, I briefly mentioned him, but Ali Charour, who was born in Beirut, his dance performance, Told by My Mother, will be at the Holland Festival, and you will be the one that introduces the performance 3 times, because it will be performed 3 times. This performance consists of singing, music, and of course dancing. And it's a tribute to mothers, their struggle, their resilience, and it's inspired by his own life. You know his work well. What kind of artist is he, and how does this new play fit in his oeuvre?
Yeah, I do know Ali. I met him in 2011 in Beirut with his graduation piece that we then also brought to the festival in 2011. And we had a residency with him. And I've been following him afterwards, of course. So that was actually his first performance outside Beirut, outside Lebanon. And so I just talked to him a couple of days before. He's quite nostalgic to come back to Amsterdam. And it's amazing that he's now in the Holland Festival. He still works and lives mainly in Lebanon, even though he's touring the world. And I think he's a very genuine artist. What he says himself is also he adapts also to different circumstances in which he's creating his work, but he does not compromise, which is really, I think, very special in a way that he's also not making a piece with an audience per se in mind, but it really comes from himself or what he sees around him. And what he usually does is telling stories of individuals. In this particular performance, Told by My Mother, about 2 female members of his family and their sons, and also performed by his theater family, because he usually works with a lot of the same people. But through those individual stories, he says something about unjust systems or socio-political circumstances without maybe so much throwing it into your face, but it is very directly present. And I think also his work speaks directly to the soul, in which also the music plays a big part. A little bit like what Nader, with what he was presenting to us with the ney. I don't know the instrument actually, but it directly, even in a few seconds, it spoke to my soul. And I think that is something that, is relating in a way.
Yeah, Nader, when she mentioned the word soul twice, you completely were nodding immediately.
Yeah, I thought maybe I can share you poems from a poet called Rumi. Maybe you know
I know
him.
him,
Yeah,
yes.
of course. So, because he's specifically talks about this instrument, and you're gonna enjoy the poems that he has about ney.
Could you read one of those poems?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you have it on your phone with you. So,
shall I read it in Farsi or in the
in
translation?
Farsi,
in Farsi,
and then we can translate a bit, maybe.
Okay. So then I will read it in Farsi and then explain a bit with like a translation or the meaning of it. It says, بشنوین نی چون شکایت می کند از جدایی ها حکایت می کند که از نیستان تا مرا ببریدند در نفیرم مرد و زن نالیدند سینه خواهم شرح از فراق تا بگویم شرح درد اشتیاق هر کسی کو دور ماند از اصل خیش باز جوید روزگار وصل خیش.
Thank you. So what did I just hear?
So I read the excerpt of the poem, but if I translate it, it says like, listen to this reed, how it complains, telling the tale of separations, saying, ever since they cut me from the reed bed, my cries have moved men and women to tears. I want a heart torn by separation, so I can explain the pain of longing. Whoever is kept away from their origin will long to return to the time of union. I cried aloud in every gathering, mingled with the joyful and the grieving. Everyone thought they knew my heart, but no one sued the secrets within me.
Always great to hear Rumi. I didn't know this particular poem, so amazing. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it really speaks also about what we talked about a bit before, no? This cry for soul, cry for humanity, cry for connection, for empathy, to know yourself, but also how you relate to the rest of the world.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. I'm like, it was just a reflection to what you mentioned. I think this is the beauty of collaboration or like these talks, because then we will see more deeply that we are the same kind. Like, I mean, we are thinking in the same way, just with different language somehow. I don't know if I'm clear with this, but the only thing that is matter that we are all human.
We also have a small soundbite of told by my mother. Maybe we could listen to that now. Yeah, is this representative for Ali Charour's work?
I think in his work he often works with people who are not professional, and also the content very often dictates either the movement language but also the music. So for instance, in this performance told by my mother, it is really the songs and the music that Hassan and his mother Fatma, who are kind of the their story was the beginning of this performance. They both are not here anymore, or question mark in the case of Hassan, who's been missing. But they use songs that are traditional, but that they used to sing together. And they also have still a recording of them singing a very old lullaby, which is said to be the oldest lullaby in the world, discovered by humans in Sumerian language. And they also sing that in the performance. Combined actually with, because he also works with amazing musicians on stage, also with an urban soundscape that also reflects collapsing of cities and he uses music very much also as almost as a tool also of telling a story. So it's not just the background; it is a real actor, say, or within the performance itself.
Yeah, and if we take a small step backwards and we look at these different performances, compositions, Told by My Mother and Forbidden Echoes, I think the common ground between the two plays is how do you use and translate musical traditions to the present and to a new world as well. Nader, is that something while you're creating and composing, you're aware of?
Aware of?
That it's for a new audience, a new world that maybe doesn't really know much about Iranian culture.
Not actually, because right now we are like living in an era that like internet is there and like everybody sees everything if they search. I mean, but still, that's one thing that I'm always saying to my friends, that we have to be really happy also to living in this era, because I think this is the era that everybody's around the world can talk to each other and can know about each other. I'm not happy about everything that happens in the world right now, because we are kind of not seeing that we are capable of talking to each other right now and see the things through. And it's happening actually. But I don't look at like that my audience are new to my culture, or they don't know about it. And I don't think it's also important.
Exactly.
It's not important. It's like creating art is about what you feel at some moments, what you want to say, or what happens at the moment of creation. You create something, and then you got a chance to share it with the world, or you don't.
Yeah, because creating something is always a form of communicating something, right?
It is actually. I think it begins with communicating with yourself. And that's the most important thing about it. When you know how to communicate with yourself and what you want to say, not to people, but to yourself, or when it gets clear for you that what is it that is in your mind that concerns you, then the next level is that to share it with your surrounding and your friends or audience.
Yeah, Natasja, you're nodding.
Yeah, I think it is really important that to not pinpoint, for instance, I don't know your work, but still to pinpoint his work as an Iranian composition or music to a Western audience. No, he's making his music and he has a rich reservoir he pulls from references, codes, and we all have that, so that also each audience member have also different references, different ways of connecting. And same for Ali. I think he's not busy with making Lebanese art. No, it is really for me, that's also what Dancing on the Edge is about, to kind of really break away from that. Like, how can we unpack things? And of course it's super rich and amazing to hear music or hear stories from parts of the world you're maybe less familiar with, but that is then also not representative, no, for a culture or a region. And we are all really connected and in different ways and influenced by different references. We are all embodying so many histories. That's a bit what this is also, no? Beyond boundaries, beyond codes. And I think that's also where we have to tap in and then take on the richness that we each bring to the table.
Actually, related to what you said, I want to mention that music is super different from language. because if I speak Farsi to you, you can say like, I didn't understand what you're talking about, or I didn't understand the words. But if I play Persian music, African music, any music, you don't really think about what does that mean. You just listen to it. So that's the power of music. It doesn't matter that the music is from Iran, the music is from United States, Brazilian music, or I don't know, like Eastern Asian music. Music is music. Music is a sound, and the way that the composer puts these sounds together will, in any way, affects you, you know, or make an effect in your head. You might like it, you might dislike it, you might feel it, you might be like, you might question things. That was also something you mentioned previously, that is also good for me. Like, I really enjoy when an art piece makes you question things, question life, question yours, question the sound you hear, question the things you're looking at, because at the end you will be like, okay, what is this daily life that I'm living, you know? Is there anything that I have to question about my life, or about how I live, or about how I'm affecting my surrounding? Am I in the right path of the universe? I don't know, universe that I'm making, you know? Because it's about us somehow, that how we are reflecting to things. So...
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And Natasja, what Nader just said about music is it's also fitting to dancing. You don't need language for dance itself. And at the end of Ali's performance, and the undertone of Ali's performance is in the end that love overcomes a lot of sadness and drama.
I think Ali's performance is dancing, but it is also theater in a way. Mm-hmm. So there is also there are stories in there, very specific ones. And I think they are about the fierce kind of maternal love, which is both about mourning and about celebration of life and love. So I don't know if it's per se about overcoming loss or mourning, but more also the importance of that love, and also the importance of remembering, of acknowledging loss and tragedy. And at the same time, yeah, also for him, I know it is also a way of questioning what theater can do and how you can also affect people's lives by it. And he calls it himself as his own tool of resistance, and also a way of, I think, coping and dealing with the world around him. And I think that is also the beautiful thing that art can do. It can, at the same time, make us curious. It can also open our hearts. It can open our brains, but it can also be resistance. It can also be activist. Without being per se political or pushing you in a certain way, but to really unpack also unjust systems. And I think his work is also really about that as well. And he makes a clear statement, for instance, to always premiere his work in Beirut, and from there travel the world instead of going to the funders in Europe. Well, there's many things to talk about, but
yes. But you mentioned the beautiful things that art can do, and I think that's also common ground, both in both the place and in what you just said. And I want to thank the both of you. I think we're running out of time, even though there are a lot of more questions that I could and want to ask. But
thank you.
Yeah, for the follow-up, the people should just listen and look at the performances.
And
I want to thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
En u bedankt voor het luisteren. Deze podcast werd gemaakt door Giselle Mijnlief en ik, Thomas Heerma van Voss. De voorstelling Told by My Mother is 17 tot 19 juni te zien in het ITA en Forbidden Echoes op 27 en 28 juni in het Muziekgebouw in Amsterdam. Het Holland Festival wordt mogelijk gemaakt door het ministerie van Onderwijs, Cultuur en Wetenschap en het Amsterdams Fonds voor de Kunst, productiepartner Amodo, festivalpartner Fonds 21 en presentatiepartner Hartwig Art Foundation.